Hello and welcome back to Behind the Curve Gaming. In this episode I've picked up my first Super Nintendo boxed game, which is a pretty big deal for me actually, so let's get straight into that, shall we? So just a quick thank you for my recent subscribers. If you're new here, if you like the content, it's kind of retro, modern, gaming, collection, stuff content, bit varied I know. If you like it, please do drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more. It's really going well at the moment, I'm enjoying it big time. Just a quick note before we get into the Super Nintendo stuff. So, following on from my Nintendo 64 video, where I received that atomic purple controller, the Z button just did not work properly. Took it in, no issues whatsoever, full refund on the voucher, exactly how I paid, $24.95, happy days. I traded in a few other things as well that I picked up recently, a couple of Nintendo Wii remotes, FIFA 23 and Hitman 2, which I got on an Xbox One X bundle, which I picked up and done a video on probably a week or two ago now. Go and watch that if you're interested at all. Got it for a very good price, and it was a decent bundle. Everything seems to be working, so thumbs up there. I think I came away with $28.50 on a voucher from the trade-ins, and then obviously the $24.95 refund, which is just happy days, thumbs up. Unfortunately, my store didn't really have any retro in to look up and pick up. Unfortunately, there was a couple of PS3 games. None of them I was happy with. Wipeout Fury HD, £22 game, which actually seems to be a pretty good price. Didn't have the manual, so I left it there. Supposedly the day before they had a £6 Gundam game. Not something I've played before, but I thought it would be interesting to pick up. So I think it's possibly uncommon. Again, I'll whack it up here, how many are in stock. They didn't have that, unfortunately, so... So yeah, a bit of a bummer on those fronts. I didn't have what I wanted and there was no retro in. I had a look at the Xbox One section before I left. They had a few cool steelbooks actually. I think they had like a gold Tintin one, a Hot Wheels Unleashed I think, or whatever it's called, a World Tour or something, as well as a Street Fighter one. But they actually did have, I think it has a little bit of value to it over and above the game itself, and that was Resident Evil Village for the Xbox One. Smart delivery as well, so I can play it on a series if I want to. Now it's got the slipcover, the all-important slipcover. It's not transparent at all. And the game itself, or the steelbook itself, not that interesting. Now, I've fallen into the very kind of default game collection where I end up collecting Resident Evil games, but I've never actually played one. I don't know if that's like blasphemy, but I've got them across various different platforms. Now, I don't mind the films, and I know the films are critically bad. I like, what's her name? Mila Djokovic. And I think how you're supposed to put it, or at least how I imagine you're supposed to put it, when it comes to the films, they're inspired by the Resident Evil universe, as opposed to really having much to do with them, because they missed the mark. I don't mind those films, at least the early ones when they're okay. The games themselves, I'm probably not going to play because I'm not much of a horror survival person, and I'm just a little bit of a little girl because I'll jump. So probably not going to play it, but I've fallen into the trap of collecting them. So I'll make a decision at some point whether I'm just going to collect them or I'm going to get rid of it, because I said I paid £12 voucher for this. I think they're listed for around 20, so I'm not losing out at all. But it's a nice pickup. Now moving right on to the Super Nintendo boxed game that I picked up. I picked this up ages ago. There was some sort of issue with delivery. It was over Easter holidays. It took ages to arrive. I didn't think it was. Told me it was going to go back to the sender. It arrived at my house. Weird. I'm a bit... Initially I was bummed out, right? I had assumed, for whatever reason, this game had manual. And for the price I got it for, which I think was around £45 delivered. I think it was a £52 at CEX. It looks to be in decent condition. And online, they're more like 60 to 70. So I was like, okay, my money's safe. If I don't like it or whatever, I can move on and just get my money back. It's not a problem. And then it arrived out of nowhere, and it's not got manual. I looked at the pictures and there was no manual in the pictures. So I'm a bit... I had a bit of a... I was gutted. I was a bit bummed out. I kind of like made that mistake, and I was essentially paid the market rate, the going rate, for no manual game, maybe even a few quid over. And it just put that kind of like taint on it for me. Since looking at it though, I said, fine, it's okay. The condition's actually pretty good. So yeah, initially a bit bummed out. So let's just have a quick look at the game itself, if you can't see it already. That game is Star Trek Starfleet Academy. Now, the face and the rear, and even the sides and everything, are actually all in really good condition. Obviously, the corners themselves have got some wear and tear, as you would expect. But I'm actually kind of pretty happy with this. And the pictures, it looked decent, and when it got here, I was like, that's a really good condition, right? That's good. That's probably a lot better than I'd expect to turn up from CEX. It came in a protector, around £45. For me, that's a lot for a singular game. No manual, no way to play at the moment. But I've moved past that negativity. It's there, it's okay, it's all right. My first SNES game, it's all positive vibes right now. So hopefully I can find and overlay some gameplay footage of the game. Now, I believe this is the 1994 release, and it came out to pretty mixed reception, which isn't really a surprise considering it's a Star Trek game anyway. So I believe you have access to over 20 missions, and you get to control 5 different starships. It doesn't look like the most tantalizing of gameplay experiences. It looks like you kind of have to make decisions on all the missions, and depending on the decisions that you make, at the end of the mission, you get some sort of percentage score. And then at the end of the storyline, you know, you get some sort of rank. Did you go on to become a captain of the fleet, or did you get bumped down? Not quite sure. I tried to look it up. Yeah, probably not the most exciting of games to play, but I thought that being a Trekkie myself, not the original series, but being a Trekkie, it was fitting that this was my first box game. It certainly looks interesting, and it's certainly something that I will play when I do have a way to play it. Starship Bridge Simulator. It doesn't sound very exciting either, does it? Basically, I imagine, is this one of the first, or essentially the precursor to the PS4 Bridge Commander game that I had a bit of a mare with at the end of last year? We got into the PS4 VR thing, my wife really wanted to play it. I got the Star Trek game, and it turns out that basically the servers are down for it, so you can't actually save your progress whatsoever. So you can play through it, the single player, by yourself on PS4, but if you want to complete it and open up all the scenarios, you need to do it in one run, because the servers aren't there, so you can't save your progress. And that just shouldn't be a thing. I think if you have it on PC, there are options, and there are still people playing it, but it sucks. So yeah, I imagine that's kind of like a precursor to that game, which is pretty cool when you think about that. So yeah, I am happy with it. The condition's really good. Moving on to the actual bit about Super Nintendo, I don't have a way to play it. So obviously recently I've splurged out for a cheap Nintendo 64, and then ended up down the rabbit hole of how to get a half decent picture on a budget on a modern TV. Now, thank you for the recent comments and things people have been trying to help out, just saying, obviously on the CRT that it'll just look fantastic straight out of the box, but there are upscalers and different ways you can go about it. So that is something I'm going to look into. And for a small CRT, which there seems to be plenty on eBay, they are expensive. Let's face it, they're still 50, 60, 70 quid for a small budget CRT TV. But yeah, it's something I'll think about. But moving on to Super Nintendo in particular. So I am behind the curve, as my channel name suggests. I've only really just got into the retro scene, the retro collecting. And Nintendo stuff, the older stuff, the 90s stuff, doesn't have much pull for me. I don't have any memories of it because I don't know anyone that had a Super Nintendo. I never played Nintendo 64. I had a Mega Drive indirectly through my dad. I played Road Rash 2, Forgotten World, Sonic, those types of games. And I come back to it now and I hear those sound effects and it takes you right back. I don't have that for Nintendo, so I've been dragging my feet a little bit. Obviously, these things cost money, right? I don't just have endless money to spend on this. I'm trying to do it in an affordable budget manner, getting a deal when I can, or flipping some stuff or whatever it might be. If I buy a bundle and then I take out the stuff from the bundle, like in the Xbox One X, sell a few things off of that, and it makes it a bit cheaper. But Super Nintendo console, if you want one cheap, it's very likely to just be either damaged or it's all yellowed. And I prefer not to pick one up that's just in a tatty state. You know, you might be able to get one 40, 50 quid. I think it's double CEX. If you want a good one that's boxed, I think you're looking north of 150. It's too much money for me to spend at the moment on something that doesn't have that nostalgic draw for me. So I've come across recently, I'm 5, 10, 12, whatever years behind, come across these kind of retro inspired emulator consoles, whatever they're actually called. I think it's like is it a Hyperkin Retron 5, as well as the Retro Bit Super Retro Tri HD 3 Plus. I'll put them up on the screen at the appropriate times and places, right? But I've come across these things and they don't seem to be everything that people want them to be. And there's various comparisons are saying, oh, the color palette's wrong, or it's not quite running at the right speed, or there's input lag. But I think the Super Trio is possibly the slightly better version, at least out of the two. I've not come across kind of like the ultimate do-all retro console emulator thing, right? So these consoles, they use the original hardware. You put the cartridge in, and I think that it reads it and then it emulates it. You can also play with the original controllers, which I think is just really cool. And they also, in theory, don't have limits on whether it's PAL, NTSC, Japanese ones, whatever. And there are various adapters for things. So in theory, they're the be-all, end-all, do everything when it comes to retro games and consoles. You don't have to get that console, which is ticking boxes. But I know I imagine they're very divisive, right? At the moment, I'm looking to possibly get one of those Super Trios. They're not like all over the place. They seem to be kind of like relatively low stock, I'm guessing because they're quite old. And I think they're between 100 and 120. It's too much at the moment, but it does play Mega Drive, NES and SNES, which is cool. I think the Retron 5 plays Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. And both of them do these things to varying degrees of success. I think like the audio and stuff as well, not necessarily right. I don't know why they can't, you know, one of these retro inspired consoles or the companies behind them can't just release one that's a decent price, that's half well made, that has good compatibility, that just does things correctly. I don't know why that's so difficult. Obviously I'm not a programmer or game designer or anything like that. But yeah, they both seem to have big drawbacks, but I am looking at that. Let me know down below, do you have one? Is it half decent? Have you done a side-by-side with original hardware? I'm thinking about it at the moment. I am certainly thinking about it. I'm probably going to have to keep off Super Nintendo for a little while just because I've not got a way to play. It seems kind of pointless if you're collecting for it, but you've got no way to play it. Also, I've not got that nostalgic pull. I think we're going to be going back to getting some PS1 stuff soon. But yeah, the collection grows. So far I'm really happy with it. So yeah, the last few videos have been going really well. I'm really grateful for the support that I'm being showed and the subscribers and the likes and stuff. It's just all positive vibes at the moment. That's exactly what we're trying to do here. So if you've enjoyed the content and you are a new viewer, please do like and subscribe. It really helps out. And that'll be it for this one. I'll keep it relatively short if I can. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you very much.